never imagined grief could have a voice. I never imagined it could sound like his. I woke up to the creaking of the old wooden floorboards in our apartment. My heart jumped, skipping beats because it was exactly the way he used to walk. Not the hurried, careless steps of a stranger or neighbor, but deliberate, soft, intimate his. My fiancé, James. Gone. Dead. And yet, here he was in the night, whispering my name. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, my palms sweaty, the sheets clinging to my trembling body. My apartment was quiet. Too quiet. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant barking of a dog, even the occasional car passing on Maple Avenue, everything was normal. Nothing should have been wrong. Nothing should have been happening. And yet I could hear him. Michael. The voice was low, warm, impossibly familiar. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't said his name out loud in weeks. The funeral, the calls from work, the obligatory sympathy visits from friends, all of it had left a hollow ache inside me. And yet here it was again. His voice, cutting through the darkness, cutting through the despair like a knife sharpened on memory. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, every muscle tense. My hands gripped the edge of the mattress. It's just a dream, I whispered to myself, hoping that repeating it like a mantra would keep me sane. Just a dream, just a dream. But the footsteps grew louder. Not clumsy, not random. Every step deliberate, measured, familiar. I wanted to scream, to run, to throw the lamp across the room in desperation. Instead, I stood there, frozen, trembling, listening to him walk closer. And then he was there. Or rather, he wasn't. At least not physically. I saw the outline, a shadow at the edge of the living room. Faint, flickering under the glow of the streetlight that leaked through the window. But the shape moved like him, breathed like him, reached out like him. Michael, he said again, closer now, almost caressing the air between us. I could feel the warmth, the intangible heat of him, brush against my skin. My omega instincts flared uncontrollably. Panic, longing, despair, they all collided, leaving me paralyzed on the spot. My body knew him before my mind could catch up. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall, and sank to the floor. My hands shook as I covered my face, muttering, "It's impossible. It's impossible." But impossible didn't stop him. The voice, soft but insistent, wrapped around my mind like a velvet noose. "Don't be afraid, Michael. It's me." Tears burned my eyes, streaming down my cheeks as I let myself collapse fully into the emotions I had kept buried. James was gone. James was dead. And yet he was here, or at least some part of him, some fragment of our past, refused to leave me alone. 3 days later, I found myself wandering aimlessly through Central Park. Autumn had painted the world in shades of fired, orange, gold, and yet everything felt gray to me. The air smelled crisp, the fallen leaves crunched beneath my feet, and yet the world seemed mute. I wasn't looking for anything. Not him, not closure, not answers. But there he was. Literally, impossibly there. He sat on our favorite bench by the pond, the one where we had watched ducks in the spring, shared our first kiss in the summer, and argued over trivial things in the winter. He was smiling, just sitting there, as if nothing had happened, as if he had never left me at all. I blinked, and my stomach twisted. My alpha instincts, dormant since the accident, stirred. Heat rose through me, wild and uncontainable. The air between us charged with something both forbidden and inevitable. I couldn't speak. My voice had been stolen by grief, by longing, by something deeper, primal, instinctive. He looked up. His dark eyes, the eyes I had memorized, softened as they met mine. "You came," he said, and my heart threatened to break again. I don't understand," I finally whispered. "You're dead." His smile didn't falter. Dead doesn't mean gone. Not for us. Weeks passed, though it felt like days and centuries all at once. He wasn't real, not in the physical sense. He had no body to touch, no warmth to hold me. But he was there. Every night, every empty apartment, every sleepless hour was there. Sometimes I hated him for it, for appearing when I was least prepared, when I had tried to heal, to move on, to accept reality. And yet, every time he whispered my name, every time he lingered near me, I couldn't help but lean closer, crave the intimacy that had been ripped from my life. Alpha and Omega, bond and instinct, memory and longing, they all tangled inside me, and I was drowning in them. One night, it escalated. The air shimmered with something I could no longer deny. The pull between us, stronger than death, stronger than reality, stronger than sense. I had almost reached out, almost touched him, and in that instant, something extraordinary happened. I felt him, not just in my mind but in my body. Heat flared, pulse racing, my omega scent rising uncontrollably. He didn't exist, and yet he was here, alive in every sense that mattered. My instincts screamed, begging me to let go, to surrender to the connection that death had tried to sever. "Michael," he murmured, so soft it was almost unbearable. "I can't stay long, but I can't leave either. Not yet." I fell to my knees, clutching the floor like it could anchor me. "Why? Why now? Why me?" His shadow bent closer, impossibly close. "Because you're mine. Always. Even when I'm gone." I felt the warmth brush my cheek, the intimacy of a hand that didn't exist but burned like it did. My body trembled uncontrollably. Every nerve ending sang with memory, with desire, with grief and love intertwined. "James," I whispered, broken, desperate. He smiled again. "You don't have to let go. Not yet." In the following days, my life became a strange rhythm of reality and memory. He appeared in the dark corners, in reflections on glass, in the flicker of shadows. Each encounter, fleeting as it was, left me raw and alive. And then the first time I spoke to someone else, someone who could see him, to me world shifted. A psychic, a stranger with understanding eyes, told me what I had suspected but feared. James's spirit was bound to me, tethered by love and unfinished business. My omega scent, my grief, my desire, they all anchored him here. It was terrifying, intoxicating, and infinitely lonely. By the time winter came, I had adapted to this impossible companionship. I could almost touch him, almost feel the weight of his body, almost hear him laugh. And in those moments, fleeting as they were, I was happy. Happy in a way that didn't exist before, that defied logic, that transcended life and death. The winter air had grown colder, sharper, and yet somehow, the spaces he inhabited, my apartment, the park bench, the dark corners of my life felt warmer. He lingered there, not fully tangible, but more present than ever. Every night, I felt the pull, stronger than instinct, more powerful than grief. I didn't know how to describe it, only that my body and soul ached for him, and I was no longer afraid. He appeared one night, as I sat on the living room floor, the rain streaking the windows in chaotic rivulets. My head rested against my knees, trembling, wanting desperately to feel him closer. "You've been crying," he said softly, the words brushing against me like the gentlest wind. "I can't stop," I admitted. "I thought I was healing, but it hurts too much without you." His shadow hovered, stretching, bending impossibly close. "I know," he murmured. "I feel it too, though I shouldn't." The longing in his voice made my body react instinctively. As an omega, I could feel him, not just his voice, not just his presence, but the way our bond vibrated between us. My scent, my heartbeat, my desperate desire all called to him as if nothing had changed, as if he had never left me at all. I leaned forward, hand trembling, and touched the air where his shoulder should have been. A warmth pulsed there, impossibly real, and my knees buckled under the force of it. I gasped, heart racing, body aching for something I could not physically grasp. "Michael," he whispered, closer now. "You're not alone. I'm here." The words wrapped around me like a cocoon, but they were more than comfort, they were fire. My instincts flared uncontrollably. My omega nature cried out for closeness, for intimacy, for the undeniable connection that tethered us. "James," I need you, I whispered, my voice cracking. I know, he said, almost pained. I can't fully be with you. Not yet. But I can guide you, hold you, in the ways I can. The weeks that followed became a delicate balance of reality and the impossible. He could not be fully here, yet he could not leave. Every night became a ritual, a dance of intimacy without touch, of longing without satisfaction. But each moment was electric. My omega instincts and his alpha essence intertwined in a way that defied the natural order. And I surrendered to it, to him, fully. Then came the night that changed everything. I was walking through the snow-covered streets of our neighborhood, my coat wrapped tightly around me, my breath fogging in the icy air. I felt him behind me. As always, a presence that both comforted and tormented me. I stopped near the park, where the bench by the frozen pond sat under the dim glow of a lamp, and then I heard him call my name louder, urgent, desperate. Michael! I turned, and for a moment, I saw him clearly. Not a shadow, not a wisp of air, but his form, solid, real, as if the universe had bent its rules to give me this single gift. He was closer to me than ever, dark eyes glimmering with emotion, his hands reaching toward me. I can't stay long, he said, breath misting in the cold night. But I had to see you, Michael. I had to tell you I never stopped loving you. Not for a second. Tears blurred my vision. I never stopped loving you either, I choked out, feeling the intensity of the bond that had defied death itself. In that moment, instinct overrode everything. My omega nature flared in full force, a physical, emotional, undeniable call. The connection, the longing, the unfulfilled desire all demanded release. And for the first time since his death, I felt the possibility of closeness. He stepped toward me, and I reached out instinctively, our hands brushing, fingers entwining in a perfect fit. The warmth that exploded from that touch was more than physical, it was spiritual, primal, an alpha and omega bond manifesting in the most extraordinary way. I can't, he whispered, voice trembling. I can't fully exist, but I can give you this. Give us this. I pressed closer, not caring about the impossible nature of our reality. I don't care, I said, my voice raw and desperate. I just want you, in any way you can be here. He smiled through the tears in his eyes, a mixture of pain and joy that made my heart ache. And then, for the first time, I felt him fully, his essence, his love, his heat meld with mine. My omega instincts and his alpha nature intertwined in a way that felt complete, whole, transcending the limits of life and death. The world fell away. The cold, the snow, the fear, the grief, it all disappeared, leaving only the connection between us. My hands cupped his face, and even though it was impossible, I felt his skin under my touch, warm and alive. I leaned closer, pressing my forehead to his, inhaling him, memorizing every detail. I love you, I whispered. I love you too, he said, voice breaking. Always, always, Michael. And in that impossible night, under the dim glow of the lamp, with snow drifting lazily around us, we shared a closeness that defied reason, that defied the natural order. We held each other, whispered to each other, and for a fleeting, magical moment, our hearts beat as one. Weeks turned into months. The winter thawed into a tentative spring, and our bond settled into a rhythm that was both extraordinary and beautiful. He could not stay fully, but he could be near me, could guide me, could be the warmth I craved. My grief softened into a bittersweet joy, the kind that comes from knowing love so strong it cannot be broken, even by death. One evening, as the cherry blossoms began to bloom, I sat on the park bench, James beside me, more real than ever, yet still ghostly in his presence. I rested my head on his shoulder, feeling the familiar warmth and strength of his alpha nature. You've changed me, he said softly. You've allowed me to be part of life again, even if I can't fully live it. I've changed too, I replied. I've learned that love isn't just about holding someone, it's about feeling them, trusting them, even when they're not entirely here. He smiled, brushing a hand through my hair, impossibly gentle. Then let's keep feeling each other. Always. Until we find a way to be truly together. I laughed softly, tears prickling my eyes. Always, I echoed, and in that shared laughter, in the quiet intimacy of two souls bound together beyond life and death, I realized something profound. Love, real, unbreakable love, does not follow rules. It does not bow to logic or time. It exists in the moments, the feelings, the connection that transcends everything. Even in death, we had found a way to be together. Even in impossibility, we had found a way to love fully, deeply, completely. The night fell around us, soft and serene, the city lights twinkling in the distance. I could feel him, could sense him, could almost touch him, and for the first time in what felt like eternity, I was not alone. Not truly. Michael, he whispered, pressing his forehead to mine. No matter what, no matter where, I'll always be with you. I know, I murmured, and I'll always be with you too. In that impossible, beautiful moment, I understood. Love had no bounds, no limits. It was eternal. And as long as we had each other, even partially, even in fragments, we were whole. We stayed there, in the quiet, under the cherry blossoms, hand in hand, Alpha and Omega, bound by a love that even death could not destroy. The world around us faded, leaving only the warmth, the intimacy, the unbreakable bond between two hearts that refused to be apart. And for the first time in months, I smiled freely, feeling a peace I had not known since the day I lost him. The pain of loss remained, a shadow on the edge of my happiness, but it was tempered by the certainty that love, true love, could survive anything. Even death, even absence, even the impossible. We were together, somehow, someway, and that was enough. The snow began to fall lightly again that night, soft as whispers. I felt his hand brush mine, impossibly warm, impossibly real. I rested my head against his chest, heart beating in sync with the essence I could feel but not fully see. Forever, he whispered. Forever? I echoed, closing my eyes and letting the warmth of him fill the emptiness inside me. And in that eternal moment, with the world quiet around us and the impossible made real through love, I knew somehow, someway, we had found our happy ending. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.